Let's see the first chapter, that is an introduction to the computer. And in this particular chapter, these are the important topics. Okay. So the first pointer for this chapter is that this word computer is derived from the Latin word. Okay. Which word? Computer. And this Latin word computere means to calculate. Okay. So it is derived from the Latin word computere, which means to calculate. A very simple pointer. Afterwards, computer is called Sanganak in Hindi. Okay, you should remember the word Sanganak. It is known as Sanganak in Hindi, which means to calculate. Okay, and the next pointer is that it has no official full form, but sometime in education institution it is written as commonly operated machine primarily used for technical and educational research. Okay, C stand for commonly, O stand for operated, M stand for machine, P stand for primarily, U stand for used for technological and educational research. R stands for research. So COMPUTER. Okay, but remember this is not an official full form, but it is commonly taught in the educational institution like this is a full form, but there is no official full form. Okay, so the first is you need to remember it is derived from the Latin word and it is known as Sanganak in Hindi, and it has no official full form, but you should remember the full form if they ask. It is commonly operated machine primarily used for technological and educational research. Okay. Coming to the definition, which is commonly asked in the exam, and definition, as all of you know, that it is basically one device that accepts the input. Okay, that we are going to see in details afterward, and after taking input it will process it. Okay, how it will process it? According to the set of instruction. Okay, and once it processes it, it is going to generate some result that we known as output, and during this process this computer need to store the data, so it stores the data also. Okay, a very simple definition. I repeat once again. Computer is one device which accept the input, it will process it, it will store it and produce the output. Okay, so there are many examples of computer you can think of which does the same thing. If you take thermometer, okay, thermometer is also a computer. How it is a computer? Because it accept the input. How it is accepting the input? By the heat. Okay, with the heat it act as an input. Okay, after heat your mercury expands and afterwards it is going to output how much temperature you have. So it is some sort of computer. Okay, it is nowhere I'm telling you that like laptop or smartphone, those are only the computers. There are many computers which we classify, okay, that we are going to see in some other class, but as of now you just remember computer is one that accept input, process it, produce the output and stores the data. Coming to the next example, calculator. Okay, everybody use calculator. I'm not talking about the calculator which is in your PC right now. I'm talking about the calculator which is basically a separate device which has buttons in it. Okay, so if you press a button, it acts as an input. Like if you press 10 acts as input, and you are doing some operation, say 10 plus 20, so that act as the input, and inside that it is going to produce the output after adding these two number 30, and it is going to store the data into the calculator more specifically, and it is going to produce the output on the screen as 30. Okay, and now the modern computer, if you talk, like desktop, laptop, and even mobile is your computer. Okay, and all such things are taken into classification of computer that I'm going to discuss in some other class. Okay, the other pointer is that if you talk about a digital computer, okay, it is a computer which is basically an electronic device. So whenever you see this word electronics, okay, remember it has some semiconductor material, mostly silicon. Okay, and we are going to see again in the next class like what is it, how it is made. Okay, I'm not going into detail as of now. Okay, just remember a digital computer is an electronic device, and whenever you see a word electronic, it means it has semiconductor material like silicon. Okay, and you should remember the functional unit of a computer. I am again telling you, this is a basic definition of computer. A computer can be anything, any device which has these parts. Okay, like it has input unit, it has some sort of CPU, central processing unit, some sort of storage unit, and some sort of output unit. Okay, so these are the functional unit of a computer. The next one is the history of computer, and the history begins after the independence, after the Republic Day, that is in year 1953. And in 1953 the first analog computer in India was made. Okay, so who has done this? It is designed by person, just remember this name, it is very important, Samrendra Kumar Mitra. Okay, Samrendra Kumar Mitra is one of the mathematician, okay, who was working in Indian Statistical Institute, okay, that is in Calcutta. At that time Calcutta was known, nowadays it is known as Kolkata. Okay, so he was working in Indian Statistic Institute Calcutta, where he designed the first analog computer, and sometime he is regarded as father of computer in India, okay, by Mathematical Society of Calcutta. Okay, and this particular pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. Okay, so remember the first computer was made in year 1953, and it was designed by Samrendra Kumar Mitra, and he is regarded as father of computer in India. And where did he establish this computer? It is Indian Statistical Institute Calcutta. Okay, so the next, after 2 years, we have our first digital computer installed. Basically that digital computer was imported by India. What is the name of computer? It is HEC2M. What is HEC? Holy Earth Electronic Computer Model 2M. Okay, so HEC2M is the first computer which was installed. It is again installed at Indian Statistical Institute Calcutta, and this pointer was asked in SSC CGL Tier 1. Okay, so if they ask the first analog computer, it is Samrendra Kumar Mitra. Where it was established? ISI Kolkata. If you talk about first digital computer installed in India which was imported, the name is HEC2M, and this computer was made by British Tabulating Machine, and it was installed at ISI Kolkata. Okay, okay, so afterwards in year 1956 and 1965 one major thing happen in the field of computer in India, that is we have first indigenous built digital computer. Okay, previously we have imported from the Britishers, and this time we have made the first digital computer, and the name is TIFRAC. So what is TIFRAC? It is TIFR, that is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research Automatic Computer. Okay, TIFRAC, you should remember the name TIFRAC. and it was during the tenure of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and he focuses on making this program, and the first indigenous digital computer was made. Okay, and the location is TIFR. As I told you, it is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, and it was operational in 1956 and commissioned in 1960. Okay, sometime he asked the date in the year, so just remember it is operational in year 1956. Okay, coming to the next is the India's first supercomputer. As you know, supercomputer, how it is different from the normal computer, I will tell you in brief that it has high power. High power means it can do lot of calculation in microsecond, nanosecond in fact. Okay, and during this period, that is 1991, the first supercomputer was made, and generally in exam the name was asked. Okay, so just remember the name, it is Param 8000, and Param 8000 is the first supercomputer, and the credit goes to the CDAC. CDAC is one of the organization which does lot of research in computing, and it is one of the institution which have done a lot of computing related things, and they have made the first supercomputer in India. Okay, that is Param 8000 series. And in 1995, the first Indian newspaper was available on the internet, because at that time internet boom was there, and the first newspaper that came into the internet was Hindu. Okay, so Hindu was the first newspaper which was available on the internet, right? So as you can see, this is TIFRAC. As you can see, like this is a big machine which is placed in a room, so that is TIFRAC. Coming to the fathers, we have made already a separate class on that, but we are going to show you the few important fathers in the computer arena. Okay, the first one is the father of computer, and you should remember it is Charles Babbage. And what he does, we have seen in the historical development of computer class, that he has made first analytical engine. Okay, so that become the basis of all the computer which proceed in the later generations. Okay, so this question was asked in many exam, in fact, starting from SSC to PSI. And coming to the father of modern computer, if you ask, it is Alan Turing. Okay, so Alan Turing is known as father of modern computer. And if you talk about father of computer in India, it is Samrendra Kumar Mitra, that is father of computer in India, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. Why he is known as father of computer in India? Because he had designed the first analog computer in year 1953 that we have seen. Okay, so these three fathers you should remember for the introduction to class. There are many other fathers who have done lot of things in the computer arena. We have made a separate class on that topic, so you can just watch that. Okay, coming to the father of supercomputer in India, it is Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar, which is basically the person who is involved in developing the first supercomputer, that is Param 8000. Okay, so Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar is known as father of supercomputer in India. So now let's see the characteristic of computer. What are the features of the computer, how it makes the life easy, how it is different from the other devices, why it is so popular, and how it has changed our life. Okay, so the first characteristic is the speed. Okay, so you know that a machine can do a lot of things faster than human being. Okay, so whatever the task we can do in seconds, okay, the computer can do much more faster because it is a machine. Okay, so basically the speed is a characteristic which makes a computer to itself its definition. Okay, so speed is the one most important characteristic because it can do task in nanosecond, microsecond. Okay, faster than the human being. Okay, the next characteristic is the accuracy. As you know, human can be inaccurate, but the computer cannot beat the human. Okay, what I mean to say that accuracy is one thing, but it acts on the principle GIGO, that is garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so because it has no intelligence in it right now, so whatever the input you are giving, it is going to take that input and process it, and it gives the output. So that is known as GIGO principle. That is, if you give the garbage input, it will give the garbage output. Okay, but if you consider human being are not like that. Okay, if you give some wrong input, human can easily tell that this input is wrong. Okay, whereas computer basically does not identify what is right, what is wrong. If it is garbage, it is going to produce the garbage output. And what do I mean by the accuracy? Accuracy means whatever the result you are expecting, you will get the actual result from the computer. Okay, third is the automatic. As a machine become automatic, which is going to do the task itself, it needs no human intervention. That is one characteristic which separate from the human. Okay, and versatile, as human is also versatile, but we have a limited capacity to do that. But computer is a versatile which can do many types of jobs simultaneously. Okay, we can also do simultaneously, but our limit is very less. Whereas if you talk about computer, it can do lot of things simultaneously. So it is versatile. Okay, so versatile, the word mean that it can do multiple jobs simultaneously. The next one is diligence. Diligence means it never get bored. Like as a human being, we get bored after some time, but machine can never get bored. So computer has the characteristic it never get bored. You can make it on for several hours, for several years, it will never get bored. Okay. Next is the storage capacity. Like as a human being, we have also storage capacity, but our storage capacity is limited because we are the human, we are the living person, living beings, whereas it is a machine which stores a huge amount of data. Okay, so storage capacity is also one characteristic which differentiate from the human. Okay, so the next is the component of general purpose computer. So there are basically two components. First is hardware and the software. Okay, so these are the two components of the general purpose computer. So hardware, what do I mean by hardware? Which are the physical component of computer. Okay, physical means which you can see, touch and feel. Basically that word is called tangible. Okay, hardware are tangible in nature, means you can touch it. For example, you can touch the mouse, you can touch the keyboard, you can touch the monitor. Okay, so all such things are hardware. Okay, the next component is the software, which are basically a set of instructions or program which is used to operate the computer, and these are generally intangible, which cannot be felt. Okay, so you can think like that our body is hardware, we can touch it, we can feel it, but whatever inside in our mind that we cannot touch, we can only feel. Okay, so in that way it is intangible in nature. So software are intangible, whereas hardwares are tangible. Okay, And software can be anything, like it can be OS, it can be MS Word, PowerPoint, anything. Okay, so these are the basic two component of the general purpose computer. Let's see the other facts. And the first fact is that the World Literacy Day. Okay, you will be surprised to know that this World Computer Literacy was started by an Indian company, that is NIIT, that is National Institute of Information Technology. When their 20th anniversary was there in year 2001. Okay, they made that day, that is World Computer Literacy Day, which is their foundation day in fact. Okay, so 2nd December is the World Computer Literacy Day. Okay, their main aim was to that in all the person who belongs to the world have the computer literacy. Okay, and this initiative was started by Indian company on their 20th anniversary in year 2001. Okay, and you just remember, as I told you, that a person is called computer literate if he is able to run the based application. Okay, if he or she just able to run the application, okay, computer application. Okay, so this pointer was asked in RRB NTPC, and if the computer is able to handle or run the application on the computer, he is computer literate. Okay, whether he is educated or not educated doesn't mean. If he is able to do the task as per the application, he is computer literate. And the first computer literate district is Mallapuram. Just remember, it is in Kerala, and it was made in year 2004. So in 2004, the first computer literate district was declared. Okay, Mallapuram. Just remember the name. Afterward, if you talk about 100% fully literate panchayat. Okay, literate panchayat is Pullampara Panchayat, again in Kerala, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. Okay, I repeat once again, World Computer Literacy Day on 2nd December. A person is called computer literate if he is able to run the application on the computer. And the first computer literate district, it is Mallapuram in Kerala, whereas the first 100% digital literate panchayat is Pullampara Panchayat in Kerala. Okay, and if you talk about the first digital literate state, it is Kerala. So Kerala has lead in the computer literacy. Okay, so let's see few of the pointers related to historical development of computer. And student, this is one of the important topic in computer awareness, and you will find one questions related to this particular topic. Okay, so the first and very foremost, you should remember that the word computer is derived from the Latin word. Okay, sometime he asked from which language this word is derived. Okay, so the answer should be Latin. Okay, and coming to the history point of view, the first thing is the pre-mechanical age, which is basically from year 3000 BC to 1450 AD. You should not remember these year, but for the sake of completeness, I am putting this number. Okay. So in the pre-mechanical age, as you know, there was no electricity and the calculation was done manually. And in this particular age, he can ask you about the abacus. Okay, this is an important pointer. Abacus is one of the instrument which is used to have the calculation, and it is known as the world first known calculator. Okay, and as you know that it was used in China around 3000 BC. Okay, so in this particular, you should remember abacus. It is one of the instrument to do the calculation. It has some beads and rods in it, and it is regarded as the first known computer. And this question we have seen many times. Okay, so just remember this name. Coming to the next age is the mechanical age. Again, you need not to bother about this specific period. Okay, and in the mechanical age, they have used gears and mechanical part for the calculation. As the words itself suggest, mechanical. Mechanical means something which is moving, and with the help of gear and some mechanical part, you are doing the calculation. And this is very important age in perspective of the computer development. Why? Because the first calculator Pascaline was developed by Blaise Pascal. Okay, so if they ask first mechanical calculator instead of the regular calculator, it is the Pascaline. Okay, it is Pascaline or Pascaline machine. Okay, and coming to the very significant portion in the computer history is the difference engine. Okay, and as you know, Charles Babbage, he is known as father of computer. He has developed the design for this difference engine, which is basically the combination of mechanical things and gears in it. Okay, and the most important part in this particular chapter is the analytical engine, and it is regarded as a first general purpose computer, and you can think like it is in 1837. So like it is very old and the very first one, and the concept of all the computer which we are using nowadays derives from the analytical engine. Okay, so because of which Charles Babbage is known as father of computer. Okay, so he has designed analytical engine, which is basically the core concept for the general purpose computer, and for that purpose he is known as the father of computer. Okay, and one more personality name should come with this is the Lady Ada Lovelace. Okay, why? Because she is regarded as the first computer programmer. Who is the programmer? Programmer is a person who writes program. What is the program? Program is the steps. Programs are used to write the procedure and algorithms, and she has written the algorithm for the analytical engine that Charles Babbage have. And some people say that Lady Ada Lovelace is the student of Charles Babbage. Okay, so she is regarded as the first computer programmer. That question also we have seen in many exams. Okay, let's see, the next one is the electromechanical age. So we have seen mechanical age, pre-mechanical age, now it comes to the electromechanical age. And in this particular electromechanical age, as the word suggests, electricity has come and mechanical things were already there. Okay, so the electromechanical age, the first important instrument is tabulating machine, which was made by Herman Hollerith. Okay, he has made the punch machine, Hollerith machine, tabulating machine, and this machine was used in US census using punch cards. So Hollerith punch cards are also known, and this tabulating machine was used to calculate the numbers in the US census. Okay, and the very important mark for your upcoming exam is the first electromechanical computer. Okay, first electromechanical computer is Harvard Mark 1. Okay, so you will find the name of some of the computer, but you need to differentiate it. Okay, I will tell you whenever it is required. So remember, the first electromechanical computer, I am not talking about the first computer, I am talking about the first electromechanical computer. It is Harvard Mark 1, and it is designed by IBM, International Business Machine, and the Harvard Union. Okay, Harvard and IBM. the first electromechanical computer is Harvard Mark 1. And coming to the next is the electronic age, and this is very important age where semiconductors, where the basic fundamentals were put, and nowadays whatever we have seen in our daily life, from your normal PC to laptop to smartphone, it is the electronic age, and it is starting from 1940 to present. Again, don't go with this number vary from one book to another. Okay, just remember it is the electronics age. So let's see few of the important pointers related to generation of computer. Student, these generations represent one of the technological advancement from one phase to another. Okay, and all these generation falls into the category of electronics age, and there are total 5 generations. Okay, and what are those generation? I am putting in the table form, and in the upcoming slides I am going to tell you the important previous year question pointer related to these generation. Okay, so the first generation is from year 1942 to 1954. Again, few of the students will argue that these numbers are not correct. So I want to tell you these numbers are only qualitative. There is no particular time period from which you can declare that it is a first generation. Okay, just remember in total what is the period. Okay, this number doesn't matter, but in this range is important, like it is around 1940 to 1955. That thing you should know. Okay, so the very important point for the first generation, and we have seen multiple times, the question was which technology was used. For this, vacuum tubes were used. Okay, this is very important pointer. So which of the following component were used in first generation? It is vacuum tubes. And you can ask me, what are the vacuum tubes? Student, the vacuum tubes are the device which is used to control the flow of electricity between electrode in the vacuum. So like it is tubes, tube-like structures are there. So electrodes are there and the vacuum is there. So this device is used to control the flow of electricity in these tubes. Oh, okay, so this is basically a tube, and these vacuum tubes were designed by John Ambrose Fleming in 1904, but these were used in computer around late 90s, 1940s. Okay, and the problem with this vacuum tube is that they are very large in size. Okay, and they consume lot of power since they run from the electricity, and since they are running from the electricity, they will generate heat, and since they are made up of the glass, so they are less reliable and fragile. Okay, so that's why these are very costlier effort, very large effort, very difficult to maintain. So this is the first generation anyhow that you should know. At that time it is itself a great achievement, but you need not to remember all these pointers. Just remember the vacuum tubes were used in the first generation. This is very important for your upcoming exam. And since these device basically work like a switch, like either 0 or 1, so machine codes were used at that particular time period. And there are 3 important popular computer which I am going to tell you are very important for your upcoming exam. The name of the computer: ENIAC, ADVAC and UNIVAC. Okay, why these are important? Let's see. So ENIAC, first you should know that it is electronic numerical integrated and calculator. Okay, the full form you should remember. And why I am telling you this is very important for your exam is it is first electronic computer. Okay, We have seen first electromechanical computer, that was Harvard Mark 1, but it is first purely electronic computer. Okay, so if he asks what is the first purely electronic computer, your answer should be ENIAC, that is electronic numerical integrator and calculator. Okay, and sometime at the level 2 he can ask you who has developed this computer. So it is Eckert and Macaulay. Okay, John Macaulay and JP Eckert, these people have developed electronic computer. But basically you should know that first electronic computer is ENIAC. Okay, don't confuse with Harvard Mark 1 or analytical engine, because this is the electronic age, those are electromechanical and mechanical age. Okay, so the first electronic computer is ENIAC. Coming to the next is ADVAC. The full form is Electronic Discrete Variable Atomic Calculator, automatic computer. Okay, Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. Discrete means, again, it is the first time, like previously they are using the analogous system, now they have used the binary system. Okay, instead of decimal represent 10 numbers, whereas binary represent only 2 numbers, that is 0 and 1. That's why they are discrete, and this is the first discrete computer, and it is the first computer that uses the concept of stored program. Okay, so in exam, if they ask which computer use the concept of stored program, your answer should be electronic discrete variable automatic computer. Okay, and this is the first computer which use binary system instead of decimal. And very important part, that this is designed by John von Neumann. Okay, so whatever the modern architecture of computer which we are seeing is basically derived from this stored program concept. Okay, where instructions are stored in the memory. Okay, so this concept is basically first given in this computer. Coming to the next important one is the UNIVAC. It is again developed by JP Eckert and Macaulay, and the full form is Universal Automatic Computer, and it is the first commercial computer. So if they ask you what is the first commercial computer name, your answer should be UNIVAC. Okay, Universal Automatic Computer, and as I told you, it is developed by again Eckert and Macaulay. Okay, so the three name ENIAC, ADVAC and UNIVAC you should remember. ENIAC is the first electronic computer, ADVAC use the concept of stored program, whereas UNIVAC is the first commercial computer. And one more fact about this UNIVAC, it is used by the US Census Bureau to have the census calculation. Okay, and sometime he asks you the first mini computer. Okay, it is PDP-8. Okay, so PDP-8 is the first mini computer. Okay. Okay, so we have seen the first generation. Now let's see the second generation. It is around 1955 to 1964. Again, the period is important, not the year number exact. Okay, so the period is around 1955 to 1964. And this time they have used transistors instead of vacuum tubes. Again, this we have seen lot of times. So he generally asks about the second generation, and in second generation transistors were used. It is not the music system. Okay, sometimes people got confused with the transistor which were used for listening the music, but these are basically the electronic device which are used to amplify or switch the signals. Okay, so whatever the vacuum tubes is doing, with the same philosophy these transistors do. Okay, they do amplification and switching of the signal. Switching means you can think like it is either 0 or 1, whether voltage is there or not. Okay, so like you have seen these type of graph now. Okay, so this represent voltage is there, this represent voltage is not there. So this is basically a switching device or amplification device. Okay, And the good thing about these transistors are that they are very small in size, very more efficient and reliable. So handling wise, it is very easy. Okay, so this generation basically changes the game of the upcoming generation. And as you know, these transistors were invented by these three personalities. Again, you should not remember their name. For the sake of the completeness, I am putting this. Okay, so they were working in the Bell Lab, which is a very famous laboratory in US. Okay, so in 1947, these three personalities has developed these transistors, and for these transistors, these three personalities won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1956. Even though they have developed in 1947, but they received Nobel Prize in Physics after 9 years. Okay, in the physics. Okay, so why they got the Nobel Prize? Because you can think like this is a technology which disrupt the whole system. Okay, so these transistors were used in every field right now. You can take anything, you will find transistors in it. Okay, and the other thing that you should remember is the popular computers, and in this generation IBM 1401 series were important, which were using transistors in it. Okay, so in this generation you should remember the technology that was used is a transistor, which is basically a device to switch the signal. And you should not remember the inventor name. This is for the fact basis I have put. Okay, coming to the next generation, that is third generation. It is around 1964 to 1975. Okay, and in this generation they have started using IC. Okay, so first thing you should know that IC basically integrate the circuits. What type of circuits? It integrates transistors that were used in second generation along with the resistors and capacitor on a single chip. Okay, so on a single chips, if this is a chip, they have integrate all these electronic component into that. And what material they are using? It is semiconductor. So sometimes they ask what type of material is used in IC. It is semiconductor, and usually silicon is used. So this type of question we have seen in RRB exam, where he asks you what is the element used in the integrated circuit. Your answer should be the semiconductor. Okay, and usually silicon is one of the semiconductor. Germanium is also there. There are many other semiconductors are there. Okay, and as you can think, like they have integrated all these circuits in a single chip, so obviously your size will got reduced, and reliability will also improve. And again, from the fact sake, I'm telling you one more fact, that these IC were invented by Jack Kilby, and he is from Texas Instrument, USA, and he has used germanium as a semiconductor for making this chip. And the other person who has a credit of making IC is Robert Noyce. He is again from the US, from the Fairchild Semiconductor, and he has used the silicon. Okay, so Jack Kilby used the germanium, whereas Robert Noyce used the silicon, but the concept is remain the same. They have made the IC, but Jack Kilby won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2000. Okay, in 2000 year, like you can think like he has developed in 1958. So after so many years, he won the Nobel Prize. By because there was a lot of confusion who have developed the first IC. Either it is Jack Kilby or Robert Noyce. But finally, after the death of Robert Noyce in 1900, like 1990, Jack Kilby was awarded with the Nobel Prize in Physics, and people say that he has developed earlier than Robert Noyce, so he was awarded with the Nobel Prize. Okay, so these are the facts that you should take it as a information, but for this particular generation you should remember that they have used IC for that, and these IC uses semiconductor, usually silicon. And popular language, sometime he asks, these are the popular language: C, Fortran and COBOL. And the popular computer name are IBM 360 series. Okay, so we have come to the fourth generation. Fourth generation starts from 1975 to 1989, and this particular generation use VLSI and microprocessor technology. Okay, so we have seen questions where he asks which generation use microprocessor technology, and your answer should be fourth generation, and it is the VLSI. What is VLSI? It is very large scale integration. What is very large scale integration? It is the integration of thousands to millions of transistors on a single IC. Okay, thousands to million of transistors on a single IC. You can think it is a huge number. So this is technology used in fourth generation, and this is very important fact. And this question we have seen in SSC exam, like the first microprocessor name. Okay, so the first microprocessor was developed in 1971, and it is Intel 4004. Okay, so the first microprocessor name is Intel 4004, and the credit goes to Marcian Tedhoff. Who has designed? Marcian Tedhoff. So he is known as father of microprocessor. Okay, but the first microprocessor name you should remember, it can come in your upcoming exam. Okay, so Intel 4004. And in this particular era, the popular language evolved is the SQL, that is SQL. And the very important, again, in the fourth generation, these two computers were very popular. First one is the Apple computer, Apple I, and the second one are the IBM PCs. PCs now come into picture where it is the open end for the customers like normal public. So IBM has developed the PCs using these technologies. Okay, coming to the last generation, that is fifth generation. They have used ULSI, which is ultra large scale integration, and you can think like from million to billion of transistors they have put on a single IC. So you have more computation power, more advancement in the field of computer, and because you have lot of computation, lot of memory, artificial intelligence and quantum computing are going to be the trend setter for the upcoming generation. And you can also see, like today everybody is talking about artificial intelligence, which is possible due to the miniaturization of all those technologies like ULSI. Okay, ultra large scale integration where you have billion of transistors on a single chip. So the size is reduced, power is increased. Okay, and where the application where you require a lot of computation, those are artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Okay, so if we ask in which generation quantum computing is used, it is fifth generation. It is not fully matured, but still it is under the progress phase. You can also think like nowadays like ChatGPT and other things have come. This is because of the artificial intelligence. They have huge machines which are using these technologies. Okay, now let's see the classification of computer. So we have seen the definition of computer. Computer is a machine, a device which takes input, okay, does some processing, gives the output and stores the result. Okay, so let's see classification. Now the first classification is based on size and power. Okay, size means how much space it is occupying, power means how much fast it can produce the result. Okay, based on purpose, for what purpose the computer is used, we can classify it, and afterward we are going to see based on the data types. Okay, which type of data it is taking as input, you can classify on that also. And finally, based on the functionality, for what functionality it is going to be used, you can classify the computer. And if you see the classification of computer on the basis of size, there are basically 4 classification of computer, starting from the microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer, and the supercomputer. Okay, what are these and how they are different from each other, we are going to see in today's class. Okay, afterward, based on purpose, we can classify the computer into 2 categories, that is general purpose computer and special purpose computer. And based on type, we have 3 type of computers: analog computer, digital computer, and hybrid computer. Again, what is the difference and how they are same, how they are doing the task, that we are going to see in today's session. And coming to the functionality wise, we have 3 categories. In fact, one more is there, that is quantum computer. Okay, so in the classification of computer, if you talk, this based on the data type and based on size and power, these are the 2 important categories on which you can get one question. Okay, so let's see the first one by one. And if you see, the first important classification of computer is based on the data type. Okay, so as we have seen the definition, that it is going to accept the data as an input. Okay, what type of data it is going to take as input, based on that there are 2 type of computer in fact. Okay, the first one is analog computer. Okay, as the word suggests, analog, so the input is the analog data. What do you mean by analog data? Which is basically a continuous physical data. Okay, I'm not talking about digital one. In the analog computer, the data is continuous physical. How can you see that? As a temperature, as a voltage, as a pressure. Okay, so like if you have seen the temperature, okay, if the physical quantity is temperature, okay, so this data is varying continuously, so in that way it is a continuous physical data. And if you see the voltage, like voltage is there, so again it can be high, it can be low, it can vary from the time to time, so again it is a continuous physical data. And if you talk about pressure, okay, so pressure is again a quantity which changes over the time and which is continuous in nature. Okay, and the very important pointer to the analog computer is that it does not require any storage device. Why it does not require any storage device? Because it is continuous in nature. Okay, data is coming continuously. Okay, there is no requirement of storing. Okay, storing is required if you want to do processing at the later stage. That will come as a part of hybrid computer, that we are going to discuss afterwards in fact. But for analog computer, just remember it does not require any storage device, and this pointer was asked in RRB and TPC. Okay, I repeat once again, analog computer is one that take data as a continuous physical data. It can be temperature, voltage, pressure. Okay, and it does not require any storage device. And we have seen in the previous class that Samrendra Kumar Mitra has designed the first analog computer in India, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. Okay, so basically analog computer is the computer which works on continuous physical data, that we have understood. Okay, and let's see the example. The thermometer is the easiest example. If you take the example of thermometer, it is taking input. What type of input? It is taking the continuous physical data, that is temperature. Okay, it is processing it processing means like whether you are reading continuously. Okay, so based on that some action is taking place, and once that temperature stabilizes, you are displaying on the mercury bar like you have a temperature of 100 degree. Okay, so you are giving the output. Okay, similar to speedometer basically works on the speed which is a physical quantity which is changing over the time, so it is again some sort of analog computer. Similarly, ECG, EEG machine, all those are analog computer. But student, remember that nowadays analog computer are really used. Okay, nowadays hybrid computer are very popular because we need the data to store in some place. For that we need digital computer. Okay, and if you see, this is the first type of analog computer. If you see, there are some bars, some buttons in it which is taking analog input to the machine, and there is one voltmeter also. You can see the voltage level which can be seen on the screen. Okay, coming to the next type, that is digital computer. In case of analog computer, it is a continuous physical data as an input, but here it is a discrete data. Okay, discrete data means the data will have binary digit. Again, this discrete data is based on the analog input. Okay, but we are quantizing it like whether it is a 1 based on the voltage level itself. Again, like if my voltage is 5 volt, I am considering it as a 1. If it is 0, I am considering it as a 0. Okay, again, if my voltage rises to 5 volt, I will make it as 1. If my voltage remains 0, I will make it 0 at my sampling rate. Okay, so just remember, it is working on some sort of discrete data. Okay, discrete data is what? It is binary digits, and sometime it is asked in exam what is bits. It is the abbreviation of binary digits. Okay, and what is good in that digital computer is that it can perform logical and mathematical operations using digital circuits. Okay, so bits are there. In order to do calculation, you need some circuits. Okay, so digital computer use digital circuits for performing some operations. Okay, and nowadays every arena you will see PC, laptop, smartphone, ATM, digital watch, all are example of digital computer only. Okay, so all are digital computer. And as you can see, this is our desktop, these are the smartphone, digital watches, laptop, all are digital computer. Coming to the third category, that is hybrid computer. And as the word suggests, that hybrid, it is a combination of both continuous and discrete data. It takes data in the continuous form as well, like analog data. It takes the data as discrete to process it. Okay, and remember that analog part will measure the analog data. Okay, analog part will measure where digital part will process. This is a very important point. Okay, and as you know, if you have analog part, you need some converter. Okay, that is ADC, analog to digital converter, which convert analog data to the digital data. Okay, right? You understood now? Okay, I will repeat once again. Hybrid computer works on both type of data. Since hybrid computer is having analog part and digital part, but digital part need the data in discrete form, so some sort of converter are required. Okay, for example, sensor is giving data in the continuous form. It need to be converted into digital one by using some circuits called ADC or analog digital converter, which makes the data in the discrete form, which is going to use by the digital circuits and as well as for storage. Okay, and in exam they will ask you the examples. Okay, and these are the two examples which are commonly asked in exam, that that these hybrid computers are used in hospital to measure the heartbeat of patient. You can relate with that, like my heartbeat is in continuous form. It has sensors in it which convert heartbeat into the digital circuit, and it is going to store on the machine. Okay. And like air traffic and radar, like again, like air traffic, where is the plane, or where is the flying device which is going to be captured by radar. Radar is again an analog device which converts the data into digital circuits, and that will be processed by a digital computer. Okay, so in this way, this whole computing thing is a hybrid computers. Okay, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. The next classification is computer based on size and power. The first one is the microcomputer. Okay, and the very important definition itself that it uses the microprocessor. Okay, and it is the latest technology, you can say. Okay, microcomputer uses microprocessor. It doesn't mean like mainframe and the other supercomputer are not using microprocessor. But the name comes from the word microprocessor because it has miniaturized the entire computer into a very reduced space. Okay, since the size is small, it is known as microcomputer. Okay, and if you talk about speed, it can do task or instruction from 1,000 to million of instructions per second. What does this means? If you have 1,000 to 100 million instructions in it, it can execute in 1 second. Okay, the speed is huge. Okay, but it is not sufficient to do if you require a lot of calculation like supercomputer, that would not be sufficient. It would take more time to produce the result. And these type of computer are basically suitable for one user. Okay, if you have one laptop, that will work fine and that act as a microcomputer. And if you talk about the example like desktop computer, laptop computer, tablet, smartphone, these are the example of microcomputer. Okay, just I will repeat once again that microcomputer are generally small in size and these are suitable for the one user. Okay, so you can think desktop computer, laptop computer, tablet, smartphone, those are all microcomputers. Okay, and the first laptop was developed by Epson HX20. That is the first laptop name, and it was developed in 1981, and this pointer was asked in SSC CGL. And how it looks, it looked like this. Okay, so you can relate at like in year 1981 this was the first laptop. Okay, it has all the features. Okay, why it is called laptop? Because you can take in your lap and do the task by sitting or anywhere. Okay, so the first laptop was developed by Epson HX20. Just remember the name Epson HX20. Coming to the next is mini computer. The size is medium and its speed is moderate, like whereas if you talk about micro, which execute the instruction thousands instructions per second, here it increases to millions of instructions per second. Okay, and it support multiple user, say 10 to 200. Okay, and the very popular example are PDP-11 and IBM AS4000 computers. Okay, and just remember for your knowledge that PDP-8 was the first mini computer in 1965. Okay, PDP-8 is the first mini computer, and this computer was made by Digital Equipment Corporation, that is DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. And if you see the screen, this is the first Digital Equipment Corporation mini computer, that is PDP-8. So it looked like this. Okay, so this is the first mini computer. Okay, it support multiple user and speed is higher than the microcomputer. Coming to the next type is mainframe computer, and in mainframe computer the size is very large and the speed is again million of instruction per second, and it support multiple user. In mini computer we have seen it support up to hundreds, but it can support up to thousands. Okay, and a very important pointer is that it is known as big iron type. Okay, and main purpose of mainframe computer is basically that it is going to be used in large organization like bank, airline, railways, which have thousands of users. Okay, basically those are server types, so you can think like servers are basically the mainframe computer. Okay, and if you see like any bank you take, okay, bank has multiple like 1,000 crores of customer, so they need some larger computer to process all the data. Okay, so mainframe computer are those computer for which requires multiple users. Okay, and if in exam they ask which type of computer used by large organization like bank, airline, your answer should be mainframe computer. And IBM Z series, if you see, this is IBM Z series mainframe computer. Okay, it can support multiple users. Okay, and it is very big, you can see. Okay, the next one is supercomputer. As I told you that supercomputer does a lot of speed, like it has trillion of instruction per second. Okay, and its size is huge. Okay, but the good thing is that like supercomputer does calculation very fast. So why it is required? So sometime like for R&D we require more computation resources, because in order to generate the result we need more power. Okay, and whereas if you talk about supercomputer, users will be few. It is a very costly computer, but the size is huge. The great advantage is the speed. Okay, it can do trillion of instruction per second. Okay, you will get a result in microsecond. Okay, like if you talk about the AI nowadays, all those AI are using the supercomputers. Okay, and the main purpose, as I told you, it is scientific research, nuclear reactor and weather forecasting, and this pointer was asked in RRB, NTPC and SSC. Okay, so supercomputers are used in scientific research, nuclear reactor, weather forecasting and climate research. And Cray and Param series, as I told you in many times, like if you see this one, this is a Cray one, which is now put in the museum, whereas this is our Param series computer. Okay, so these are the supercomputers. Now let's classify the computer based on the purpose. The very first one, a very simple one, it is general purpose computer. As the word itself suggests that which is designed to perform variety of tasks. Okay, and basically it is versatile in nature. So as I told you in the previous chapter, versatile means which can do variety of tasks. Okay, and a general purpose computer, it can be your laptop, it can be your smartphone, mobile. Why it is a general purpose computer? Because it can do a lot of things. Okay, you can draw, you can record in the phone, you can take photograph, you can do editing, you can do surfing. Okay, so basically the nature is versatile. Okay, so these are general purpose computer. Okay, on the contrary, special purpose computer are designed to perform the specific task only. Okay, which are dedicated in nature. Okay, and the main purpose is to work faster and efficiently. If you talk about ATM, that is automatic teller machine, which is used to dispense the cash from the bank. Okay, this is a special computer. How it is special computer? Because it is dedicated to withdraw the money from the bank. Okay, only specific task. And coming to the traffic controller, traffic controller, it manages the traffic. Okay, just managing the traffic. It is dedicated nature. It is not used to surf. It is not used to like editing, only just traffic management. Okay, coming to the navigation computer, like GPS, if you talk about GPS receiver computer, it does only the navigation part and nothing else. So those are known as special purpose computer, which does only the specific task. Okay, so in exam they can ask you ATM is what type of computer. It is a special purpose computer, and this is a ATM. Okay, coming to the other terminologies like real-time computer, embedded computer, and quantum computer. Okay, so the real-time computer, as a word suggests, that the output should be produced on the real time. Real time means the exact timing, the right time, the real time. Real time, for example, I want to book my ticket on the railway counter. Okay, and if I am booking the ticket at railway counter at say 10 a.m. Okay, so the output should be at exactly 10 a.m., not 10:01 a.m. Okay, even 1 second is not tolerated in the real-time computer. Okay, real-time computer, if you talk about like safety critical system. Okay, so if 1 second you have lost, means the entire system can fail. Okay, some say suppose fire controller is there. Okay, that is a real-time computer. So in 1 second it is not giving the response, means that it can result the catastrophic result. Okay, coming to the embedded computer, which are generally inside some other smaller computer. Okay, those are called embedded computer, which are residing on some other devices. Okay, and nowadays quantum computers is a huge hype, where it works on the principle of quantum mechanics. As you know, quantum mechanics deals with a tiny particle which is known as qubits. Okay, qubits, which means 0 and 1s are bit, but it can be both also. Okay, as you know, like these are the tiny particles which can be in the any state, but this tiny particle, if they are staying in the both states, it is known as qubits. Okay, and people says that these are faster in the computer, and even Google and Intel are making quantum computer. They are working on quantum computer. Okay, Tangle Lake and Sycamore, these are the example of the quantum computer. Let's see few of the important previous year question pointers related to supercomputers. The first thing that you should know about supercomputer is the definition. Supercomputer is a computer with high computation power. Okay, so the word high computation power means it has lot of speed and lot of memory as compared to the personal computers. Okay, that's why the word super is there in front of the computers. Okay, and sometime you have seen the question related to father. Okay, so the father of supercomputer is Seymour Cray. Okay, you need to remember his name, and the credit for making the first supercomputer goes to Seymour Cray, and it is the world first supercomputer. The name is CTC 6600. Okay, you have to remember this name because this is very important pointers related to supercomputer, and it was developed in year 1964 itself by the United States of America. Okay, and the other very popular computer is Cray-1. So sometime they will ask which of the following is a supercomputer. In this type of question you will find one Cray-1. Okay, so Cray-1 is one of the popular supercomputer around 1976. Okay, coming to India. India has also developed supercomputers, and the credit goes to Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar. Okay, So he is known as father of supercomputer in India. Just remember this name, Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar, Dr. VPG Bhatkar. Okay. And you should know he is very key person in developing the first supercomputer, that is Param series, Param 8000. Okay. And this question we have seen in a lot of exams. So remember, India's first supercomputer is Param 8000. Okay. And the father of supercomputer in India is Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar. And sometime he asks who has developed this Param 8000, and the organization name is CDEC. CDEC is Center for Development of Advanced Computing. Okay, so this is developed by CDEC, and sometime he asks you the year when it was developed, and it is released in year 1991. Okay, so in 1991 India's first supercomputer Param 8000 was developed, and father of supercomputer in India is Dr. Vijay Padurang Bhatkar. And sometime he asks about the other supercomputer, like which of the following is developed by the BAG. In that case your answer should be Anupam, and Anupam is one of the supercomputer by the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. And one last pointer for this particular session is the first privately developed supercomputer. Okay, it is more specifically to India, and India, the first privately developed supercomputer is ECA. The name you should remember, it is ECA, and it was developed in year 2007 by one of the subsidiary of the Tata, that I think it is CRL. Okay, so those have developed the first privately developed supercomputer ECA in 2007. Okay, so the basic about supercomputer is this, and this is very important pointers for your upcoming exam. Okay, let's see the next topic, that is various fathers in computer technologies. Okay, and in the previous year questions we have seen one or two questions related to fathers, where he asks who is father of what. Okay, so let's see, the first question that he can ask is the father of computer. Okay, so student, you should remember it is Charles Babbage. The name is very important, you have to remember, you have to mug up. But one additional fact is there why he is regarded as father of computer. So you should remember, he had designed analytical engine, which is basically the first general purpose computer in 1837. Okay, so long back he has developed analytical engine based on which whatever the new generation computer which we are seeing nowadays are based on those particular design. Okay, so that's why he is regarded as father of computer. The next question he might ask you is the first computer programmer. You should remember the personality name. The name is Lady Ada Lovelace. Okay, one language is also there, Ada language. Okay, and what did she done? She wrote the first algorithm for Babbage analytical engine. Okay, so a programmer is a person who writes the code. Okay, so Lady Ada Lovelace is regarded as the first computer programmer because she wrote first algorithm for this particular computer. Okay, so that's why she is the first computer programmer. Okay, next is we have seen a question related to the modern computer. Okay, father of modern computer, that is father of computer. Okay, so if we ask specifically to the modern computer, your answer should be Alan Turing, not the Charles Babbage, because he has proposed the Alan Turing machine in 1937, which is theoretical model for model computer. Okay, he has designed the theoretical model which modern computer uses. So that's why he is regarded as a father of modern computer. But if he asks only the father of computer, your answer should be Charles Babbage. But if he asking specifically to the modern computer, your answer should be Alan Turing. Okay. The next one is father of supercomputer. This is very important. Okay. So father of supercomputer, as we have seen in the previous session, it is Seymour Cray. Okay, Seymour Cray is regarded as father of supercomputer. Why? Because of him, he developed CDC 6600, that is first supercomputer in 1964. Okay, so that's why he is regarded as father of supercomputer. Coming to father of information theory. What is information theory? Information theory is a theory related to digital communication and data encoding, which nowadays computer uses. So credit goes to Claude Shannon. Okay, Shannon theorems are also there. Okay, so if we ask father of information theory or who has developed theory for digital communication and data encoding, your answer should be Claude Shannon, and this pointer we have seen in the RRB exam. Okay, and nowadays in NTPC we have seen this question, father of AI. Okay, nowadays AI is a buzzword, and the credit goes to John McCarthy. Why he is known as father of AI? Because he has coined the term artificial intelligence, that is AI, in 1956. Okay, John McCarthy. Okay, John McCarthy is the father of AI. Coming to the father of microprocessor. So if you have seen our generation class where we told you the first microprocessor is Intel 4004, that is designed by Marcian Tedhoff. Okay, so Marcian Tedhoff is regarded as father of microprocessor. Okay, and the first microprocessor, as we have seen, it is Intel 4004. Okay, Intel 4004 is the first microprocessor. Coming to the next is father of internet. Nowadays everybody is using internet. You are also looking this video through internet. So the father of internet credit goes to Windsurf and Bob Kahn. Okay, Windsurf and Bob Kahn, and basically they have developed one protocol. Okay, that is TCP IP protocol, which you are going to see in few other classes. Okay, so he has developed this protocol which is widely used in the internet. Okay, so this protocol is a basis of internet, so that's why he is regarded as father of internet, Windsurf and Bob Kahn. Coming to the next, again it is very important. We have seen many pointers related to this father of email or who has developed email. It is Ray Tomlinson, because he has sent the first email and use @ symbol which we are using nowadays. It is Ray Tomlinson. Okay, Ray Tomlinson is the father of email. And this is very, very important, is the father of supercomputer in India. You have to remember it is Dr. Vijay Padrang Bhatkar. Okay, and why he is known as father of supercomputer in India? Because he is a key person for Param series, and you should know that Param 8000 is the first supercomputer developed in the India in 1991 by CDEC. Okay,